I'm Jim Ronstadt, surname James F., and I was the president of the Rotary Club of Tucson in 1989-90. It was probably one of the most exciting years of my life up until that point, and it was just a great year. In 1989-90, we had passed through the Reagan era and into the Bush era, and the economy was great. The city of Tucson was in a very positive financial situation, had a successful bond, and we were growing. I mean, we were building things and growing. Streets were being taken care of. It was a good time in the city of Tucson.
All right. At that time, you were Parks and Rec director. Is
I was
that right?
I was Parks and Recreation director. I came into Rotary in 1980. Red Malone brought me in, and my first experience with Rotary was my grandmother taking me down to the Christmas events. My grandfather was one of the early Rotarians, and it was fun going down, getting the gifts, seeing Santa, and being part of my grandfather's time at that time. And never did I think that I would be serving as president of the Rotary Club, that I went down to the Christmas celebrations at the Pioneer Hotel. Well, I think challenges that I had as president were continuing the growth of the Paul Harris membership. Polio Plus had just kicked off. In fact, the convention that we went to in Seoul, Korea had its total emphasis on the Polio Plus program. And I was really taken by the program. Larry Nelson, who had been prior president and pushed the Paul Harris membership, gave me some pretty good tools and came back with the Polio Plus key, and we moved a lot of people into Paul Harris fellowship. In fact, my uncle, Gilbert, who had been a Rotarian for many, many years, became a Paul Harris fellow, and I think that was one of the keys that I looked to move that program. As far as changes in the Rotary Club are concerned, I think a big influx of membership of women, which has been very positive for the club. We're having our second woman president. I think Charlotte's done a marvelous job in what she has done with the club. We've found ourselves with the house project that Mike Anderson promoted and raised a lot of money, but we've moved on to the car classic, which is going to grow and will provide funds for Rotary for many years to come. I think it's something that Rotary grasped onto thanks to the work of John Wong and a number of other members in the club, and I think it'll be a great project for the future. The accomplishments in that year, I set up a fining process. I had a number of $1,000 fines that year, and I tried, one of the things that I tried to do in my year was to recognize as many people as I could, and recognition meant fining, and I mean, we had fines from $25 all the way up to $1,000, and there were a number of $1,000 fines. One of the funny moments, we had June Dempsey come and speak to the club about the program she was involved with at the University of Arizona, and she started her comments, Mr. President, I wanted to know who this Paul Harris was. I've been sending him a lot of checks, and it brought down the house. So, and Cedric was one of my $1,000 donors, although he had really provided a lot of funding for the Rotary Club through football tickets, basketball tickets, and it was a good funding year. People were excited about being recognized and had no problems putting down the money.
Did you start the finding process in our club, or did you just push
Not
it to
really.
a new level?
I just pushed it to a new level. Don Redmond was my first $1,000 fine, and got Cedric. I tried to get Walt Roberson, who was in the negotiation stages of his water company at that time, and he skated, and he knew he skated, and I tried to get my predecessor to, or I shouldn't say predecessor, my successor, to find him, and just wouldn't do it. But it was fun. I mean, it really was fun. The finding process basically took on a new meaning during my reign. I never read so many magazines and periodicals and newspapers in my life. I'd prepare every week somebody to get fined. And we had one time, Clarence Dupnick was our speaker. The sheriff was coming to speak. And I knew that through Ace Bushnell that Rose Mofford, our governor then, was going to show up and kind of bust his chops a little bit. And so I talked to Rose and said, Rose, how about a fine? And she said, sure. She said, I'm screwing up your meeting a little bit, so yeah, fine me. So we fined her $100, and she was happy as a lark, and she gave Clarence a copper license plate, Dupnick, for his car, and it was fun. It was fun. The roasts have gone a long way, a long way. John Barkley, bless him. I mean, he came up with some crazy ideas, but mine, I think, was the worst. I had been involved and gotten myself involved because of my position with the city in all kinds of organizations, from conquistadors to centurions. I served on a bunch of state boards, and most of those gave you a baseball cap with some kind of insignia on it. And so John came up with the idea, well, we'll roast Jim with all these hats. And I mean, they brought every hat that they could find in my office and had hats stacked on top of me. And I just sat there, and they literally made jest of me and fun of me for about 15 minutes, and that was the end. That was the end of the roast. I mean, no Stu Goldman and his dress up and some of the fine songs and stage sets and what have you that we have seen in the past few years. But it was fun. I mean, the family enjoyed it. We had my parents there and my wife's parents, and they thought it was a real kick. I didn't think it was much of a kick. I think the programs that we had were one of the highlights of the Rotary year. We had Senator Dennis DeConcini, Senator John McCain, Jim Colby, Councilmember Roger Settlemyre. We also had Paul Rossi, who was a local artist and sculptor who had done miniature saddles for President Reagan, came down and brought a couple of the samples. And the program committee that I had that year, the chair, of course, at this point is deceased, unfortunately, but we had a cross-section. We had 20 members on the committee, Cedric Dempsey, Billy Joe Varney, Mort Solot, Ace Bushnell, and we touched just about every organization within the community, so they knew who was coming in from the federal government, who was available at any one time, and we had great programs. I mean, we had hikers from the Andes. We had Sharon Megdal, who was just starting in her rise to fame with the water situation. She came and talked to the Rotary Club, and rabbiting we held, I think, to a pretty good proportion that year. The only time that, in programming, I was concerned at 2 meetings, and they were all around Doug Holzclaw, and I don't know, a lot of our members will not remember Doug, but he was a philanthropist, and he liked to talk. He liked to hear himself talk. And he'd do the 4th of July commentary every year, and he would go on and on and on. And I watched this as, this was one thing that, as president, I was going to try and control. Well, 4th of July came, and he started his his deal. And what I did is I changed when he got the podium so that I could move the program along, and we got it on time. His birthday, however, was a different story. That was the only program that I was really late on the whole year. And he spoke to the members, and I tried as nice as I could to stop him. It didn't work. I just let him go. So we were 10 minutes late getting started with the program at that meeting. Other than that, every meeting ran on time. Surprises for my year, I think, were probably very few. One of the reasons, Helen Middleton, who was our secretary, and I tell you what, I came to love that lady like you couldn't believe. I would spend almost a half a day with her in preparation for every meeting. And she was the star. I mean, she made my job easy. And I found, as I was preparing to become president, sitting down with her, getting her insights, and just understanding the meeting process. I did a lot of work with her before in my prep for my year as president, and it paid big dividends. The new Rotarians today, and it's a problem with some of them, they come in, they know the person that brought them into Rotary, and they stick to them like glue. It's a problem. I mean, those Rotarians a lot of times don't see any fulfillment from the organization, what's going on. I think my advice would be get involved, get in committees, move from table to table every week until you have a good knowledge of the membership. We're not a club that exchanges business as some of the clubs in town are. I mean, we're truly a service organization. And it's not to say that you might get some business from being a member of the club, but that's not the purpose of our club. Our club is service above self, and we try to make the world better, our community better, and in order to do that, you've got to get involved. Individuals that would like to become part of the board or want to get in the management of the Rotary Club need to become involved, need to volunteer for projects. They need to work with the membership, get known as a good member, and not pushy. Keep your percentage of attendance at 80, 90, 100% is great. And know the club. I mean, get to know the club, what it does, what its activities are, support its activities, and you'll be surprised how you can move up into the management of the club. You do not get a real feel for the club as far as its management is concerned until you do get involved in the managing area. There are a couple of positions that are nominated by the president each year, and it would be wise, if you're interested in as treasurer or secretary, sergeant at arms, to take on that position. Make yourself available so that you can see some of the inner workings. I think that the club membership with its strategic planning and club member involvement more than ever. I mean, we never did any strategic planning. I mean, I relied on my board and on Helen, on the past presidents for where we went, how we went, and of course the bylaws and Rotary's rules and regulations. I mean, that's where the various meetings that Rotary has, the PEPs, are a good thing to get involved in. Anytime a member can or has interest in how Rotary works, go to one of these PEPs meetings. Everybody's invited. It's not exclusive. If you want to get involved, that's a start. We, as presidents, are entertainers. You're entertaining 250 people. You try and hold their attention. I sit there today and hear people scatterbrained during the invocation, during Pledge of Allegiance, just don't know how to shut up, and they should. They're never going to go anywhere in the club by being a clown or being interruptive, and we need to provide good support. We're there to learn. We're there to practice the four-way test, and we should give the president and whoever is speaking at the time our full attention. Well, we can all, improvements within the club, I think, come from the members. Again, it depends on who is president, who the president has as his board, and we as members we're responsible for what goes on in the meeting because we have, in fact, elected the board members. We have, in fact, pushed the presidents because the past 5 presidents are the ones that elect the president-elect. And so it's club members' responsibility to make sure that our club is the best club. And I think it is the best club. I mean, our participation in the Paul Harris program, what we do in this community, the Read and Seed program, are fabulous. And we need to continue to support those types of things within the community. And we'll find them. I think, we've got a long ways to go with Read and Seed. And I wish there was some way in the future to bring all of the resources that are out there that are, taking administrative monies to do the same thing. We tried to get a lot of them together, which we did. We successfully did that with Jim Murphy's leadership. But I think we can do more. We've got, literacy is probably the biggest problem that we're facing today in our youth. If you can't read, you can't learn. And the jobs that are available in this world, if you want to go somewhere, you've got to be literate. You can only ask your fellow employee so many times, what's this, what does this mean? You've got to become literate yourself. And I think if we as a club and club members can foster that and continue to make the literacy program grow in Pima County, we can really be a bright star for other communities throughout the country to do the same thing.